Hello and welcome to Bear Football here on the Barroom Network. John Buffone alongside Danny Shimon and Tyler Gaines Ellis. The Chicago Bears come out victorious in Week 1 by a score of 19-10 over the San Francisco 49ers. Not bad for the worst team in the league, if you ask me. I say that's a pretty good outing for a team that was supposed to have the number 1 overall pick next year. So I think that's probably a pretty good launching pad into the 2022 season. Let's go around the horn. Danny, you just joining us. Initial reactions out of this game.
Well, I mean, it's a ton, right? Initially, first half was just boring, just kind of like a slugfest, defensive battle. Obviously, the 49ers defensive front was obviously dominating the Bears offensive line. The Bears came in with a very conservative game plan initially, maybe just because of the weather conditions. Maybe it was just, first game jitters with the new staff, whatnot. But once I tweeted out, I said, this game should be like 21-0 right now in favor of the 49ers. They kept the Bears. They allowed the Bears to kind of stay in there at halftime. Next, all needs one play for them to get back in it. And sure enough, it was that 51-yard touchdown to Pettis, where, again, they allowed Justin Fields to do what he does best, right? Be a playmaker. Open up the offense a little bit, let him do his thing. That was a broken protection. He'll be able to go ahead and get out the pocket, buy some time. Does a great job. And this is what I loved about him coming out of Ohio State. When the pocket breaks containment, he doesn't just tuck it and run. He's got his eyes downfield. He's looking to try and make plays, and that's what he saw here. He looked downfield, found Pettis wide open for that touchdown. That was the spark. And lo and behold, they scored in every single possession after that. So, that was like the big play there, sparked the offense. And the one thing I noticed, guys, and this is something that's going to be talked about, was which staff was the rookie staff making their first, coaching their first game, and which staff was the, favorite, highly touted Kyle Shanahan staff, because if you look at the penalties, 11 penalties for over 100 yards. That's not a well-coached team to me. Now, again, the weather conditions could have played a part of it, but also, if you flip side, the Bears, 3 penalties for only 24 yards in those conditions. So, that tells me, and that's something we saw this in the preseason, guys. We saw the Bears are a well-coached team. And I haven't said that here for the last 3 or 4 years. The Bears are actually a well-coached team. Love it. Love it. You let Justin Fields be Justin Fields and create plays with his feet and his arm. And lo and behold, guys, he got a big time victory there.
Go off, Gaines.
Come on, thank you, man. Let the light out of the damn cage. Danny, so glad to have you with us. Yo, how about I told you so just doesn't quite fucking say it. To all the experts, John, we got national media, all 9 guys except Adam Rank here to pick the Bears to lose. But all season long, we said you got to show up when the lights come on. We didn't know what to expect. We said at halftime, what do they need to pick? What do they need to do? Just settle down. Handle what you can handle. Roquan Smith showed up for me, John, sideline to sideline. Initial reactions, our coaching staff adjusted. We adjusted. We started to swarm more to the ball. We stayed to our principles. And the people that had to step up did. This was freaking incredible. Are you kidding me right now? First of all, I just won $500 and I took the freaking Bears money line. Like I said 2 weeks ago, not financial advice. Not financial advice. But what I'm saying is I believed in my coach, John, all off season, bro. I truly like how this infrastructure was reconstructed to actually bring people in to develop. We only have 23 people here from last year. We have over 13 rookies on the team, not first-round picks. This is a brand new team here. And we have been given Ryan Post brought in a staff that had credibility with recent success, John. Mm-hmm. And that showed up. We saw our first-round pick quarterback out freaking play the top number overall pick. That's what just happened. And it was freaking awesome, and it was a total team effort.
Yeah, Danny, you talked about the staffs, and it looked like it was almost like a Freaky Friday situation because the 49ers, 12 penalties for 100 yards. The Bears very disciplined, and I think a big takeaway out of this is they didn't shoot themselves in the foot. They didn't lose this game on their own because when you're playing a good team, you can't shoot yourself in the foot many times. You don't have a lot of big margin. You don't have a big margin for error. So, and especially in conditions like that, you saw the 49ers racking up a lot of penalties. You didn't see the Bears racking up a lot of penalties. So as far as second half adjustments, what did you see differently out of the Bears? Because the first half, I mean, we were talking about it, the offense, it looked kind of lost. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They look pretty bad, but we were interested to see what the adjustments were going to be because we're not used to halftime adjustments. What did you see different out of this team?
The biggest thing, they open up the offense a little bit more, let Justin Fields kind of create on his own there. You know, they were just so conservative in the beginning, trying to run, rely on the running attack, the rushing attack. And quite honestly, the 49ers were just dominating the Bears offensive line, both in terms of the pass rush and run defense as well. And that safety 29 was like an all pro today. I mean, I thought, with his hair and everything, I thought he looked like the guy from the Steelers. I'm drawing a blank on his name now, but number 43 from the Steelers, the all-pro safety. Polamalu, thank you so much. But I mean, that's the way he looked at it. I'm like, come on, guys, let open up a little bit. And the second half, sure enough, allowed Fields to get open. Now, again, that big play was that broken play where Fields kind of created on his own and got Pettis. But then we saw the next drive. He got a little bit, some runs. And also, again, those penalties helped the Bears kind of extend drives there as well. And then obviously that second touchdown, which was Fields to St. Brown, kind of put that train on the tracks there and kept rolling there from there on. And I think just the 49ers are kind of shell shocked from there. But I think from there on, it was just like the Bears had control of this game. And again, you saw the confidence grow in the team because the defense was doing a hell of a job keeping them in it. Right. And the one thing I noticed about the defense, guys, they were getting pressure with the front four. They were very rarely blitzing, bringing extra defenders and all that stuff. And the coverage was pretty good. We saw Eddie Jackson making Eddie Jackson, 2018 type of play there, pick off the play. I mean, it was just vintage Bears, from like the last couple, seasons, or from 2018 and plus also from the Lovie Smith days. Remember, they had the two middle linebackers up in that A gap, mugging that A gap, and then dropping back into coverage, confusing Trey Lance post snap, in terms of who's coming, who's dropping back. We've seen this recipe before with Lovie Smith, right? You play a nice, solid defensive game, good special teams coverage, and then offensively just get capitalize on your turnovers and make plays there as well. So hopefully this year or this regime here, we'll see an offense that actually can support that defense, what we didn't see back in the Lovie Smith days.
And one thing, we kind of laid into Eddie Jackson at halftime because of that shoulder tackle attempt on the goal line. It did not look good, but he made up for it in a big way.
But at least he attempted to tackle, as opposed to previous years where he would just kind of duck or whatever, but at least he went in there.
Baby steps. We're getting there, but it comes back in a big way, has a huge ball hawk moment. Gaines, you said that Eddie Jackson, if he turns it up, he can be a great playmaker. Is that maybe the first step towards this?
Absolutely, John. All year, all off season, Eddie kept talking about how he felt like he can play free. And I feel like having Brisker there gives him that peace of mind. Like, yo, this rookie got my back. I don't have to overcompensate. I can play my position. And his coaching staff put him in that position. I mean, Eddie's hips look how loose his hips look. And it just looked like, yo, okay, Eddie, that's what I want to see you running the field, scanning the field like Ed Reed would do. Like, I know that's a Hall of Fame comparison, but that's the Eddie Jackson that we saw in 2018. And it's one thing to tip the ball, but we're getting results, guys. That's the thing about it. Championship teams, I'm saying it. Championship teams, playoff teams, find a way to make it happen. We're so used to playing to the freaking minimums here in Chicago, and we got coaches that have championship aspirations because they came from teams that competed in the playoffs. You see what I'm saying? Luke Getsy he's used to going to the playoffs. So Pittman, whatever freaking wide receiver, you're active, you're expected to execute. That's how the Patriots won every new wide receivers every single year. So to your question, John, Eddie seems primed, bro, because I feel like he doesn't have to do everything. I feel like the young guys around him are stepping up. Jalen Johnson, peanut punch. You know what I'm saying? It's not all on Eddie. It doesn't have to be Eddie to do everything, but he doesn't have to do his job, and he did it.
Yeah, and the defense as a whole, Danny, you mentioned this. We're getting pressure with those front four. Is that not the basis of this Matt Eberflus defense, where it's like get enough pressure with the front four, drop 7, and then cause chaos for the quarterback when he's trying to read those zones?
Right. That's what it is. It's front four guys, get upfield, attack those gaps, and get into the quarterback's lap and get into the backfield. And one thing we noticed is our guys, a couple of guys are really impressed me. Newcomers, Dominique Robinson has been impressing me all training camp. You saw that get off, the length, his ability to get. Now you see why I like defensive ends with long arms, be able to reach out, grab Trey Lance, and bring him down for that sack. I think he had 1.5 sacks on the day. And then Armon Watts, this kid they got from the Vikings at a waiver pickup, one hell of a pickup. This is the kind of defensive tackle you need, a guy that can play that 3 technique, shade over the shoulder of the guard, hit upfield, got that quickness, got that twitch about him in a big body, get up there. And twice, probably 3 times, he didn't get the sack, but he got up there into the backfield, made Trey Lance move, get up in the pocket. And a couple times there was an interception. I'm talking an incompletion. The other time I believe he also rushed Trey Lance into an incompletion as well. So, those are 2 guys that really stood out to me on the defensive line. Obviously, with Quinn, he was going up against All-Pro Trent Williams. We didn't expect to see much there from him today. But the other guys, Muhammad had a good job in terms of playing, aggressive run defense as well, creating a nice hard edge. Because a lot of these 49ers, obviously, they do a lot of the cutback, right? So you have to play a nice, disciplined game as a defensive end to be able to, not kind of, fall in, and kind of lean in on a defense, on the offensive line, and just make sure you maintain that hard edge. And I think Muhammad did a couple of nice jobs there. You talked about the rookie Brisker a couple of times coming up in terms of run defense. It was that, I think, 2nd and goal play where he came up and he dropped the running back for a 3 or 4 yard loss. That was a nice play there as well. So and it wasn't perfect. There were some coverage gaps that I want to see kind of taken care of in coming days. But again, first time out there against a team that a lot of people are picking going to the Super Bowl. Weather conditions may play a part of it. I'm not gonna kind of forget about those, but overall, very impressive win. A nice way to start off the new Matt Eberflus regime.
And if anyone's going to start talking about bear weather and why they don't know, why they don't want to go to a dome, maybe they bring up this game. But I'm not gonna go down that trail yet. We do have some highlights here. Aldo's got them queued up for us. I want to go to that Pettis catch, that Pettis touchdown thrown by Justin Fields. And like you said, Danny, a lot of this was improvised. You look here, rolls out, great little juke there. But the fact is, he's still scanning the entire field, not just the left side of the field, the entire field.
Exactly. The thing with these young quarterbacks, and nothing I scout when I'm seeing these covers in college is, all right, well, you break containment, you've got pressure in your face. Do you tuck it and run, or do you continue to look downfield and make plays? And the one thing that stood out to me when I was scouting Justin Fields was like, his first reaction wasn't just tuck it and run. His reaction was, hey, let's look downfield. Let's see what happens. I buy myself some time. Let's see what goes on. And sure enough, right here, and he goes cross field, doesn't just stick to his side of the field, goes totally across the football field, finds a wide open Pettis. And like I said, big time play here. This is what started the whole spark. The
difference between this year and last year, gentlemen, we saw this kind of example in the preseason game. It's that he scanned the field, but he got his hips turned around where he was going to throw. Last year, he wasn't doing that. And I feel like this is the great relationship with his quarterback coach, with the people just around him, really harping on the fundamentals. And so, like, how many times have the Bears have a wide open wide receiver and the ball doesn't get there? These are things that have plagued us. Like, John, we got a chance to win, but we just can't get out of our own way. We had to play damn near perfect to win this game, and we did the things that we actually had to do. And it's really cool to get back to the fundamentals. On the defensive line, we won our 101s. The other
thing about the offensive coordinator, and like you guys were talking about initially, like the run game in the first half was just not doing anything. But what happened was second half, because the 49ers were accustomed to the Bears kept running the ball. What happened on that touchdown to St. Brown? They all expected the run.
Yep.
Next thing you know, St. Brown kind of he's gonna block, and he sneaks out, goes out open for a touchdown.
Fields giving time.
End zone
touchdown.
Wide open.
Just like you were saying, Danny, they sold out. They sold out.
Yeah, if you see this end zone view, they show how everyone's kind of ready to play the run. And actually, St. Brown does a great job of kind of juking like he's going to block, and he kind of sneaks out there and runs that corner route.
Yeah, we didn't give up. We didn't give up on the run, John. I was about to say that. I don't think we gave up on a run. That was 17 hard rushes by David Montgomery. I mean, it was like less than 3 yards a carry, less than 2 yards a carry, but he still kept running hard, tiring them down. Justin Fields ran the ball over 10 times, and then Herbert gave a little spark. So that's still over. When you have over 25, 30 rushes in a game, that actually dictates the defense's like versus instinct and open up those sides in his own.
37 rushes altogether if you take Herbert,
that.
Fields, and Montgomery. That brings up an interesting question because I love the fact that they did not give up on the run. It was not working, but they kept it there, and I think that paid dividends because it keeps bringing the defense up like they're going to run the ball, and we saw exactly what we saw with the St. Brown touchdown. But that brings up an interesting discussion as well. David Montgomery, 17 rushes for 26 yards. That's 1.5 yard per carry. Khalil Herbert, when he got his number called, 9 carries for 45 yards with 1 touchdown. Is it possible that we see a bigger workload for Khalil Herbert moving forward?
I don't know, man. I mean, like Herbert, I mean, it's the fact that I feel like, in my opinion, the 49ers prepared to stop David Montgomery. They came out, the game plan was to make Justin do something. They were at Montgomery's his ankles. Herbert, if it dictates to the defense to open things up, then by all means. But we already know the holes just weren't there for David. It's not that he wasn't hitting them hard, because if those holes were open, he would have took it off. But if Herbert's gonna shine, we should feed the hot hand.
What do you think, Danny?
Yeah, for me, I like it the way it is right now. I'm a big Justin Herbert fan, Khalil Herbert fan. I'm a big David Montgomery fan as well. So, I think an equal balance rushing attack would be fine. Those numbers, 37 rushing attempts between Herbert, Montgomery, and Justin Fields, those are music to my ears, John. I mean, I'm so tired of the last couple of years where Matt Nagy would just, he'd pay homage to the rushing attack and say that, yeah, they have to run the ball during the week. But then Sundays will come along and he'd run it first couple of drives, and he's done. He's done with running the ball. So it's so important. Like I said here, perfect example. The rushing attack wasn't working, right? But what happens is the 49ers know that you're going to predominantly rely on the run. So what makes your offense better? That play action game, where now you have them expecting to come up. The first initial instinct for a linebacker is to come up and fill his gap. But you know what? Once they come up and fill, you play action. Now tight end's going behind you, the receiver's going behind you. It gives you the quarterback some passing lanes, some windows there to get the ball down the field. That's why Sean McVay's done it. Kyle Shanahan's done it over the years. This is how it works in football. And I just was tired of Matt Nagy giving up on it so quickly. And I don't want to bring that name up right now. It's a big victory. Don't want to go back to the past. We'll look to the future here. My boy Gaines has me all pumped up here, but I'm just saying, we're just looking. This works, guys. And Getty came from a system that relied heavily on this kind of offensive philosophy, and now we're going to hopefully see that trickle out here with the Bears coming up.
You're muted, Gaines.
I'm trying to be respectful. Danny was going off. I didn't want to stop his flow. He was bringing the heat. But I want to ask both of you gentlemen a question, because this is what I try to ask 6-7 to score Mike and Holiness, and I want to Adam right to answer this question. The narrative all week long that the Bears were going to get pummeled by 20, right? That was the narrative nationwide. Okay, so we talked about the 49ers were a Super Bowl contending team. What does that mean? We just witnessed the Bears play playoff caliber football, what it takes to win the game. I'm not saying we should crown them, but at the end of the day, we just outran. We were down 10. So we didn't just win the game. We were down 10. We had to show resolve. We had to reflect, overcome, and then execute. On a rainy day in Chicago on our turf.
Yep. Yeah, and I think it's a great stepping stone, because I think in the past few years you look at this game and say, this is probably a game that the Bears don't come back and win. This is just a game that the Bears aren't competitive in, because once they get down at halftime, they were completely incapable of making any kind of adjustments to come back and come back from any kind of deficit. But what you see this year is a little, like you said, Gaines, resolve. Danny, you said the adjustments, everything there, it all worked together, and they were able to come back and do what they had to do to win the ball game, rather than saying, hey, let's just keep hitting our head against the wall and see if we see something different. Exactly. And so I think that this was a really, really good positive step, because we saw that the Bears can adjust to the flow of the game. They can adjust to what's going on, what's working, what's not. And they can come back and win against a really good football team, against a team that some people say can go to the Super Bowl if Trey Lance pans out. And I think they had Trey Lance running just as much as the Niners had Justin Fields running. I think they had great pressure going after the quarterback. Kept Trey Lance 13 of 28 for 164 yards and an interception. That's not a great line.
No.
And so
He did two interceptions or one.
Well, no, they should have had another one, but it was one interception, and then they picked up on it. They got a fumble out of I forget who fumbled the ball, but of Debo I think fumbled the ball.
Yes,
and they got it. So I can only imagine what the talking points on San Fran radio is going to be this week about Jimmy Garoppolo being there, and not to say that this was 100% on Trey Lance, but I'm sure they don't love the fact that they just lost to a team that most people would say are the worst team in the league. So I can only imagine what the narrative might be in San Francisco, but I don't really care after this game. So go ahead, Danny.
Not only about Garoppolo versus Lance, but did we make the right pick in trending up and getting Trey Lance instead of Justin Fields with that third overall pick? That's going to be talked about as well. So, but it's too early to give up on Trey Lance. But I'm just wanted to say, like, at no point did I feel like the Bears were going to lose this game because of Trey Lance. Mm-hmm. I felt if they're going to lose this game is because of, especially in the first half, was their offensive inefficiency and also the rushing attack. The way that they were gashing the Bears with some of those big runs, whether it was Debo, whether it was before he got hurt, Elijah Mitchell. But I didn't feel like Trey Lance was going to beat the Bears. So I think what in the second half kind of happened, the Bears defense kept them in the game. Then the second half adjustments came up where they kind of let Justin Fields, like we talked about earlier, open up the game, off passing game there. And that's then it kind of just now the pressure mounted on Trey Lance. And again, I had felt at no point that I feel like Trey Lance was going to lead this team back to win that game over the Bears.
He's slick and he can move around the pocket a little bit and he can find the angles and he picked up a few nice first downs. But I think you're right, Danny. I was watching this game and I wasn't afraid that Trey Lance had the football late in the game. And maybe that's just because, it's just he's still young.
But if Garoppolo's in there, I might be a little bit more hesitant there.
Because he's gonna find the guys. He's gonna find. He's not gonna kill you with his legs, obviously, but he's gonna find. He's gonna find the open receivers. So moving forward, I mean, there's a lot to build on for this game, and I don't want to talk about the negatives so much because they won the football game. Normally, we're talking about the negatives whenever they lose and all this other stuff. But I do want to talk about the line a little bit because we had a question in the chat room about I think Tevin Jenkins being benched or something of that nature. Danny, what did you see with the line? What did you see with that whole, the Lucas Tevin Jenkins?
Yeah, that was kind of weird because Jenkins started the game, obviously. Then I noticed midway through the first or early second quarter, I saw Lucas Patrick in there playing guard, and then we flipped it back around to Tevin Jenkins. But then I don't know if there was like a rotation going on, if Jenkins was dealing with an injury, he was back and forth, or if it was just ineffective play. But offensive line really, like I said, was dominated by that 49ers defensive front, and they, guys, that's one of the better defensive fronts in football. So it's not no shame there on Braxton Jones for giving up a sack and a half to the 49ers, Bosa and all those guys. But it just physically, they were not being able to match the effort, up front by the 49ers defense. So I think they're trying to bring in Lucas Patrick, maybe to give them a little bit more of physicality there. I'm not sure, but it'll be interesting to see if post-game, if someone asks Eberflus about Tevin Jenkins, was he dealing with an injury? What was going on there? Because they look like they're rotating them in and out. Just not sure if that was just by design or if it was an effective play or if there's some injury involved there.
Thank for everyone that's in the chat room. Chris Watts saying it's weird not seeing me go off. No, normally if they're losing, I'm going off, and if it's Buffon 55, I'm going off. I only have so much adrenaline in my body. I can only give so much throughout the week, so I got to pace myself for Wednesday. But much to your point, though, there's a lot to build on. But I would much rather build off of a win than build what we were talking about last year whenever Justin Fields was just getting his feet wet when the NFL was just like, all right, they got manhandled, they didn't play well. What did we see within the game that what can we dissect that it might be a positive? Now you're off of a win and say there's a lot to clean up, there's a lot that needs addressed, but you know what? The Chicago Bears are 1-0. And that's something that we weren't really able to do before, build off of a win. Teams that find a way to win can find a way to get better as well. And I think that you saw a very different Chicago Bears football team today, just because of the culture. Did you see? This is what just jumped out to me. And Gaines, we kind of talked about this at halftime. Every DB, every linebacker is swatting. They're going after the ball every single time. They are trying to lay a hammer. Kyler Gordon got burned, but when he caught up to the guy, swinging the hammer, trying to get the ball out. If you get toasted, at least try to pop the ball out. Every single player on the defense was trying to pop the ball out on every play. And to your point, Gaines, that's a culture change.
Mm-hmm.
That's not just different players. That's a different culture in the locker room, is it not?
Yes, sir. I mean, that's it. John, thank you, bro. You're right. We don't gotta yell when, we told you so. Like, there's nothing to yell about except this excitement that, like, we could be going to the playoffs, or at least we have the right building blocks for building a playoff team that has longevity success. Our team is young. The average age in our team is 25 years old. After being the oldest team in the NFL a couple years ago, this is freaking exciting. We got the freaking Packers next week, Sunday night. We'll talk about that later. But starting the week off, if it's possible, we just handle them. The 49ers are normally picked to handle the Packers. We just took care of them. So if there was a chance, Aaron Rodgers is missing his left tackle. All types of different stuff is happening. We start the season off 2-0, Danny, against the two top teams in the NFC outside of Tampa Bay. I'm just saying the conference looks open right now.
Well, I'm just saying, if you do go 2-0, like Gaines is saying, I mean, that talk about a confidence boost for a very young team. And again, once momentum starts in the NFL, it just keeps building and building and building. So we'll see how that goes. But like you said, John, there's always things to work on, right? There's a lot of mistakes here. You talked about Kyler Gordon. I coming out of the draft, I liked him as an outside corner. I didn't see him as an inside nickel corner. The Bears feel differently. We'll see how that plays out. But he got burned a couple of times, trying to cover it in nickel. So I would prefer him being outside. But however, he was aggressive in terms of tackling. I love that about him. And defense, all defensive players, first of all, going back to Lovie Smith days, they all swarm to the football. They all come with their fists ready to kind of peanut punch and get that ball out of there, which I love. And like you guys said, culture, right? You teach turnovers, you coach turnovers, you expect turnovers. Guess what happens on Sundays? You get turnovers, right? So that's what this team, this coaching staff brought in from day one. And again, all going back to what we've seen here in Chicago before, guys, under Lovie Smith. They want turnovers, generate turnovers, swarm to the ball, punch at the football, get that ball out, create opportunities for your offense. That's what they teach, and that's what they're doing so far.
Yeah.
The thing of John, I was gonna say, man, the cool thing about it is every coach says that turnovers. Like every coach says that. Like we're gonna be physical. What did McPhee say? We're gonna be violent. We're gonna be violent. And but it was just different when you hear from the players. When you hear from those coach players. He's actually teaching you all the science of the game. And if you follow these principles, you have a better chance for results. And so when he coached some of the top linebackers in the league, Matt, the Colts defense used to be bottom third in the league. In his first year, he took it to top 10. And so that's and he was a secondary specialist. And so all these things, and not forget his mentor is Rob Marinelli.
Yeah.
Lovie Smith, his
it's
mentor was
Smith,
Rob.
yeah.
The one thing, Gaines. Go ahead.
It all comes full circle on actually executing. We're finally seeing it on the field when it matters, when we're actually playing meaningful football, not garbage time. We're working on stuff. So it's cool to see us get off to a good start. John, you hear me about this claim Super Bowl? You're like, calm down.
I'm here to bring the temperature of the room down just a little bit, but no, I like it. Go ahead, Danny.
But the one thing, like Gaines touched on, and I kept saying, if a lot of coaches go up there and say, we want turnovers, we want to create turnovers. But if you harp on the players, this is what we want. You coach the players, and this is how you do it. This is how you go out and create these turnovers. Eddie Jackson today, the way he was playing that center field safety position, that's what we saw Eddie Jackson do back in his 2017, 2018 season, right? That's what you want to see Eddie Jackson. He's not a downhill, run defending, physical enforcer. Hopefully Brisker is that kind of safety, but Jackson's the guy. Let him back there, let him play free and loose, and let him jump routes like he did today, and create that turnover.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is, and Gaines, you said this, it's just everyone always says this. They always harp on it. They always say you got to buy in, but this to actually see the players buy into it, to see them actually build into that culture, they're into it now. They want that whole hits thing. Like you said, it goes all the way back to Marinelli and Lovie Smith, and you're seeing an actual defensive culture being built, and it started on day one, which is nice to see. I do want to switch sides of the ball real quick, because if you look at the way that Justin Fields distributed the ball today, he completed 8 passes, and 3 of them were to David Montgomery, and then nobody else caught multiple balls. Everyone else had one single catch. Dante Pettis, 1 for 51 in the touchdown. Byron Pringle, 1 for 21. Equanimous St. Brown, 1 for 18 in a touchdown. And then Khalil Herbert also had a catch. This probably wasn't the right week with the elements and the way things were to decide who was really going to take hold of that number 2 spot, because we not one catch for Cole Kmet either, who had high aspirations. But you can maybe chalk that up to not just week 1, but it was a torrential downpour as well.
Right, I agree. I think that the weather had played something. I think initially the pass rush, the pressure they were putting on Justin Fields, either from the edge or from his face there, was creating some hesitation. That first sack, I think that was Fields holding on to the ball a little bit too long, because it looked like he kind of pumped it and then held onto it, and then the sack happened. So I think that could have been a combination there of the quarterback elements and offensive line being dominated by the defensive front. So hopefully you do want to see that get better. So like we talked about earlier, this is a win, but there's a lot of teaching points here, and it's always good to have a teaching tape after a victory than it is obviously after a loss. So obviously I want to see the offense get better. I think Pringle looked good. Obviously, and Velus Jones, hopefully he gets back in the lineup, give you some more of that element of speed. Another guy that can make some plays there, whether it's handing the ball off to him or just throwing it down the field. So. But again, once we saw him kind of stretch the defense, go downfield, we saw it throw to Mooney that was incomplete. We saw it throw to Byron Pringle that was incomplete. Now the 49ers are saying, all right, these guys are going to now throw the ball down the field. And that kind of opened things up for the Bears offensively, I think.
Yeah, and I think that what you saw from the first half to the second half was very different as far as how they were approaching the game. Danny, in the first half, did you see any of processing issues, or like you said, holding on to the ball too long? What do you see from Justin Fields that maybe he, even within the flow of the game, even got better? Was it more of, hey, go play your game, and he's able to do that better rather than that structure, 1 read, 2 read, 3 read, go through that kind of stuff?
Yeah, initially, like I said, that first sack, to me, it felt like Fields held onto the ball a little bit too quickly. It looked like he was going to get rid of it, and then kind of just felt a little bit unsure himself.
And it sounds like we have Matt Eberflus at the podium for a post game. So let's go ahead and tune into this.
Outstanding deep ball thrower. He can. So we were all excited about that play for sure.
What did you think of the offense, man, overall today?
I thought it was good. Like I said, it was rough sledding in the first half. We were trying to find our way, and then we found our way starting into that drive, going into the 2-minute drive, and they really picked up pace from there. And I thought they had a really good second half, and they capitalized on the turnovers, and that's complimentary football, and that's what you got to do. We want to create. Our job is the defense and the special teams is to create short fields for your offense. And the special teams creates long fields for the defense. And if you looked at that first half, it wasn't that way. I mean, the field position, we were starting backed up the entire time, right? And then when we got on defense, it was at midfield. And that's what I told the guys. I said, guys, we've been starting the whole first half midfield, and they got 7 points. Okay, we should have. We had a great drive at the end there. We're going to do a good job in the second half, and they did.
But what was your take on the towel penalty?
Yeah, so that rule was put in, right? It's a foreign object. You can clear off the spot, with your foot or your hand, but you cannot take a foreign object out there to clear it off, and that was just a mistake. And we got to learn from that. And, those guys have to do a good job of understanding that, and we got to do a better job. So
to get that fumble right away, to get that fumble recovery.
Yeah.
Right away. What do you think that did for them? Kind of dating back to your principles and.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. They were on a drive. They had some momentum when we stopped it with that. And that happens. I can go back to countless examples where the guys get in the red zone, and if you just hang in there. If you just hang in there on defense and you keep pounding the rock, good things will happen. And that's what happened. Jalen punched it, and then Brisker recovered it. And it was an outstanding play. And that happens a lot of times on the perimeter. The ball comes off the body and you get a punch out.
Since the beginning of the offseason program, you talked about this being a fresh start for Eddie Jackson. What was it like for you to see him get that?
Yeah, That was outstanding. I mean, I saw him right when he came off the field, and I gave him a big hug, and he was real happy, and I couldn't be prouder of him. And he was excited to get that for his teammates, and yeah, it was a fun moment.
When you came in here, one of the things you preached was discipline. You know, to win the penalty battle, to have fewer turnovers than the other team. Does that show that, you know, if you don't do the self-inflicted stuff, you give yourself a chance? You do. You give us, you know, like we said from the onset, we play smart, aggressive football, you know, so you can still hit, you know, and do the things and play aggressive and, you know, and finish plays and do it the right way. But you do it the smart, aggressive way. You know, if you go over the line, you see that where it's just like, you know, hitting after the whistle, hitting quarterbacks out of bounds, you know, all those types of things that beat you. You beat yourself that way. And we're just don't want to do that. And we show guys the ramifications of that, how it hurts you as a football team field position wise, keeps drives alive. And we had that today. We had a couple sustained drives through penalties that we got that were against us, which was I thought was really good. You got those on a couple of Justin scrambles, and you had the big touchdown pass to Pettis on kind of a scramble, like
yeah.
But are you concerned about how often he was having to scramble and whether that's viable for you guys going forward?
Yeah, I don't see that concern right now. I mean, I'll go back and look at the tape, but I don't see that coming off the game. I have to watch the tape, but I thought that it was he did it when he was supposed to.
With Tevin and Lucas Patrick rotating at right guard, what led to the decision to,
we're going to rotate them the whole week. Yeah, that was going to be that way. And, you know, you saw Lucas had the Q-tip on, so, you know, he was going to play that position, the guard position. So we were rotating them the whole time.
I know there's a lot of film study and things like that, and we'll take the 30,000 foot view of this, but can you appreciate in the moment what you mentioned, the showing of the hits principle and your guys really kind of buying in and getting a win like that?
Yeah, I could feel that all along. You know, talk about, you know, you started when we started to perform in the games, you could feel that. You know, so that, you know, the first game, Kansas City, then we went out to Seattle, then in the Cleveland game, you could start to feel that, you know, hey, how it's starting to pay off, you know, and man, this hard work that we're doing is starting to really work, and it's winning football. And then we just kind of brought that into the practice. The guys had really, you know, 2 weeks of practice there before the first game, and man, they did a nice job. Like I said, it wasn't perfect. We're 1-0. We got a lot to work on, and we'll go from there.
With Tevin and Lucas, do you anticipate to continue that rotation?
We'll look at it. I don't know. I can't answer that right now. We'll look and see where everybody is, and then we'll go from there.
What do you do to celebrate wins personally? Do you go?
Yeah, I hang with family. It's that simple. You know, I go with the people that love me, and I love them, and just hang out and just be normal.
You don't deal with a lot of people in the league that are surprised by what you saw today. Bears beat the 49ers. How surprised are you at the effort and the outcome?
I'm not surprised. I thought the guys executed. I thought that they hung in there. And that's what you got to do in the NFL. It's never going to be perfect. It's always going to be hard, always. And most times it comes down to the end just like that, you know, and that's the way the NFL is.
Thank you.
All right.
You're muted, bro.
You're on mute, John.
I know that now, this damn thing. That was the head coach of the Chicago Bears, Matt Eberflus. Sounds like an adult in there, doesn't he? Just sounds like he has a real good grasp, a real good sense of confidence that, you know, he's very even-keeled about stuff. And you know what? It's nice to have, and I talked about this years ago, and I'm not going to bring up, you know, the former coach. I'm not going to bring up former players, but what I will say, but it's nice to actually have a CEO of the team that can be an adult and overlook everything and just kind of just has a grip on everything. I think that's what the Bears were lacking. They were lacking, for lack of a better term, an adult in charge of everything. So it's nice to see that. It's nice to hear that. It's nice to hear a guy who's probably going to be even keel across the board, and he's going to be relatively honest. He's pretty honest in all of those responses. He wasn't looking for the whys. He wasn't telling us about how great practice was. He wasn't going back and looking at the tape. Like he's a pretty straight shooter there. So and so I think that it was just nice to hear that. Any other takeaways from that?
No, it's good to have a coach that actually gives you an answer after a question. You know, as opposed to like, oh, I'm gonna go and watch the tape and film and all that stuff. And I said, you know, the week we planned on having, Lucas Patrick rotating with Tevin Jenkins. That's not something that, it's something that, we were talking about. It wasn't code there, right? It wasn't a big secret there. It tells me a lot about Tevin Jenkins, where they prefer to have Lucas Patrick in there with one hand, basically play over him. So that's a different story. We'll discuss that a different day. But, and the fact that, he said that I'm not going to restrict Justin Fields from being the playmaker that he is, right? Those broken plays, are you concerned? Yeah, you want to see a nice clean pocket for your quarterback, but at the same time, you have a quarterback that can be a playmaker, that can make plays like that. Why restrict them? Why tell them you cannot leave the pocket? You got to stay in the pocket. You got to be a pocket passing quarterback. That's going to develop over the years once he gets more comfortable, more ingrained in his offense, if you will. But right now, hell, if he breaks the containment, as long as he's not running like a Josh Allen is and getting pummeled every freaking week, break contain, buy some more time, look downfield, make a big play like he just did today. That's going to help you win. And if he didn't do that today, the Bears will win this game.
John, I'm excited for you, bro, because no more word soup.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing that tormented us both all the past couple of years, was this talking of words. And that's all I was excited. I was like, I thought you were going to say that. We would never say the term word soup again.
Yeah.
Because
talking in circles.
Matt actually gives us content, and you can actually illustrate what he's saying when he's saying it. He's a no-nonsense guy. And John, I feel like this is a real hit to the media. And because if you go back to all the player interviews, every player says, we're not surprised. What did Darnell Mooney say? He said, you're going to be surprised by Justin. Every single coach saying, no, this is not a rebuild. You all keep saying it's a rebuild. You all keep saying this. We know we got young players, but we actually got a GM that may have hit on the coach. That's freaking exciting.
Yeah.
We may have got a GM that hit on some couple things, because everybody else is betting us down, and the coach is like, respect my vision. Like, respect my vision. It's not just about me, but I'm going to get the right people in place to coach these guys up. And that's what we saw. I mean, I don't think it's any slight to Tevin that they were trading in and out, but I just think it's a different type of grip when you have to spike that ball. So getting him his conditioning back up before he takes over the center position, I think is really, really cool. I think Tevin kind of held his own once he sat down. But Braxton Jones, like what? Like, how about Justin Fields did not get killed? He went against one of the top guys in the league in pass rushing. I mean, that's truly awesome. John, real quick, the numbers didn't say it. We didn't have all those big passing things, but we adjusted. We adjusted and won the game convincingly.
Yes, and you brought up, and we didn't really talk about this before, but you brought up Darnell Mooney's name, and you got to think that they're going to try new ways to get him involved in the game next week and moving forward. So, Danny, did you see? I mean, there's not much tape on Darnell Mooney out of this game, obviously, but what can they do to try to get him more involved? Because he's one of those guys where if he's touching the ball, he can take off and he can be a home run hitter. Can they try some tunnel screens? Can they try some other things to try to get him involved moving forward? Because he's one of your best playmakers on offense, and he really didn't have too much of an impact on this game.
Yeah, I only have one catch. I believe it was like 2 or 3 targets. The one deep ball obviously was overshot. The one slip bubble screen they gave him on the side, he kind of made like a 6-7 yard gain out of it. I think that was his only catch. And then that interception where it looks like Justin kind of didn't see that safety playing that robber position, kind of just jumped right in front of it. That was headed to Darnell Mooney there. So there was another play where he made a nice route. He ran a nice kind of deked inside and ran a nice corner route. Was looked like to be wide open, but I don't know if at that point if the pocket had broken down on Justin. He kind of went in and just threw it away or looked away from Mooney at that point. But yeah, I mean, and for me, it starts up front. You give him more time up front as offensive line to kind of sit back and scan the field. And I think he will find just Darnell Mooney, because that is one of his best friends on the team, and as a guy he trusts. And so for me, it just all starts up front. You give him more time, Darnell Mooney will get more involved. In terms of how you want to manufacture plays for Darnell Mooney, yeah, give him those slip screens, those bubble screens, some jet sweeps, toss him the football as he's running across the formation and just get him more active there. But I think just him out there alone, he draws a lot of attention because he's right now the Bears' best receiver. But if Pringle, if Velus Jones, if Equanimeous St. Brown start making plays, that's gonna now start taking coverage away from Darnell Mooney, give him more opportunities and then now it goes back to the offensive line. We give Fields some opportunities there, some time there to find Mooney, and now you're going to see more production there from Darnell Mooney. So I think it's just, again, it wasn't a perfect game. Right, we talked about only one receiver. Each receiver had like one reception. The leading receiver pass catcher was Montgomery. So that's not perfect. That's not something that's going to win you games week in and week out. So we're not here jumping up and down.
Why not? That's exactly how the Ravens won the Super Bowl. That's exactly how the Ravens.
It's not sustainable for success.
I know.
Though,
I just want to fight, Dan. I just want to fight.
Well, it's not sustainable for success in terms of if you want to build an offense that's successful, that's pretty much feared by other teams, and that kind of complements your defense and your special teams.
But guys, you got to understand when you're playing these playoff caliber team, you just find a way to win.
Sure.
I mean, at the end of the day, of course they want to throw the ball beautifully to their number one wide receiver. Who would have want that? But Darnell Mooney said it in the presser. I hope they never cover me. I hope they do. Y'all don't know their names, but I know their names. And when they cover me, you're going to see these guys shine. This is all going according to plan. I feel like we have the right people in place. I'm just glad that we actually can do more than just one thing. What if we do one thing and it sucked? We show that we can. So next week it will be a different kind of animal. Next week against the Packers will be a different kind of animal. We're going to have to actually throw the ball.
How y'all doing?
It looks like Justin Fields is at the podium. Let's tune in.
Just what was the biggest difference in the first half and that second half?
Yeah, I think we were just trying to find a rhythm. We were the offense at least was dealing with long fields, and our defense, I think they did a great job dealing with the short fields that they got. Holding them in the red zone for 3 points on one of the drives. So I think we were just trying to get in the rhythm, and we were backed up. So when you're backed up like that, you just can't use the whole playbook. But second.
I hope it comes back in, guys.
Half, found a rhythm, and we executed. So proud of the guys.
Can you give us an idea of what it was like to play in that and how it affected things you wanted to do?
Yeah, I think the rain affected us a little bit, but once it calmed down a little bit, it wasn't affecting us as much. But definitely had an effect. I think the guys handled it well. Sam being at center, I think all the snaps were fine. He did a great job doing that. So yeah.
Chose to go with gloves. What went into your decision on whether to go?
Yeah. Of course, I knew it was going to rain today. So earlier in the week, I was practicing throwing the wet ball drills with the gloves, and I just kind of liked how it felt with the gloves. I tried to go no gloves, like I think the first or second series, something like that, but the ground was just so wet. Like it wasn't even raining, but the ground was just so wet from the rain earlier that it was just safer to go with the gloves. So yeah.
Were you surprised Dante was that wide open when you turned to your right there?
No, not really. Just because of the defense they play, vision and break defense. They're just watching me, watching my eyes, and kind of watching where I go. So I knew he was over there, and once I kind of looked right and saw him there wide open, I lofted it up just to make sure, he caught the ball. So, he did a great job with yards after the catch, and then EQ threw a great block, so he could get in the end zone. So, yeah.
Is that where you felt like you guys were starting to find that rhythm and that momentum?
Yeah, I think that was the kind of the play that changed the momentum of the whole game. So, once that play happened, that kind of just started everything else.
What was in the second half for you? You and Luke were talking after. You talking about getting you on the run a little bit more and trying to make a few things happen.
Yeah, we stopped doing it because I think they game plan pretty well for Nuggets, for our keepers and stuff like that. So, we definitely wanted to try that, in the third quarter a little bit. But, they still were, sticking to the game plan where every time I would go out, they would have that DN right outside waiting for me. So I just tried to, make a positive play.
What's your read on the second touchdown to EQ? And did you consider Pringle at all? So he got open as well to the side.
Pringle?
Yeah.
He was on the backside, right? Yeah, he's my last read on that. So my read on that is just the flat to the corner into the mesh coming across into the backside guy. So, that was my second read. Felt the defenders come down soft, and then saw EQ. He took a good angle with that safety right there, and just hit him for the touchdown. And, of course, the O-line did a great job protecting that play. So, proud of those guys.
You scrambled in the second half. You kind of got up and gave a little bit of flex. Was that like a kind of a moment for you when you felt like you kind of just?
Which one?
I want to say it was the second one. You got
in the second half.
You got across midfield and you go through the sand and everything. You got to kind of flex.
I don't know, but I like to celebrate a little bit. They always bring it up in film, like who has the best celebration, stuff like that. So, we always, keep the film rolling on that. and they encourage celebration. So we'll see who had the best celebration after we look at the tape for sure.
Justin, what was his team able to lean on to stay so locked in and disciplined when everything, the weather, the offense not being able to get going in the first half, like nothing seemed to be working right away? What discipline did you guys lean on to be able to stay disciplined?
Yeah, I think just what we were built on. Coach always says it's mental stamina, mental and physical stamina. Who can play the longest, the hardest, and just play every play. So I think we won this game with mental and physical stamina. So I'm proud of the defense, proud of the O-line, just proud of everybody today.
Justin, when you look at your performance individually, what did you like about what you did today? What do you say needs to be better going forward?
One thing was the first pick that I threw. They were in three hook week. The safety came down. I saw Mooney opening up. I tried to move Fred. He was a front side hook defender with my eyes the right way, but that backside hook defender, like I said before, they play the vision and break defense. So once that backside hook defender saw my eyes go right, then he came over a little bit. The safety did. Then that's why they got the pick. But so that I just gotta just read the squeeze off of that and just make a better decision. But other than that, I felt like of course there were some bad plays and of course some good plays, but I think the team as a whole just fought through adversity the whole game.
You're talking about the water and the gloves and everything. Like, how much control do you feel like you had over your throws today?
Yeah, it's just inconsistent. So some throws you have full control, and then some throws where the ground is so wet, it's not. You don't have as much grip. So it just differs every play.
You mentioned the celebration. What was the slip and slide like for you at the end there?
I mean, that was awesome. We talked about it like right before we took the last knee, and all the guys were excited to run to the end zone and do that. So that was a snapshot moment for sure.
Whose idea was that?
I don't know. I think it was one of the O-linemen, and then I heard it, and I was like, oh, yeah, everybody's got to do it. So, took the last snap, and we all just ran into the end zone and did that. So that was cool.
You figure that's going to be the best celebration, right?
Probably, actually. But we usually do it after, like, first downs and touchdowns, but they'll probably say, they'll probably just look at that one. So, but it was definitely cool for sure.
Back to the interception just for a second.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of coming over on the flat.
Yeah, flat, exactly. So I gotta, the highest average for third down percentage is 48%. So I just gotta, not force anything down the field. Boom, just take the check down, and maybe he catch the ball before the sticks, and break a tackle and get the first down. So I just gotta be smarter in that, and just of course know who I'm playing. Just protect the odds.
You guys were in third and long a lot in the first half. Like, what do you think allowed you to break away from that sort of purgatory?
Really just first and second down, putting ourselves in a good position, getting the run game going a little bit. I thought the line did a great job blocking in the second half, for the run game a little bit more. So got that going on first and second down. And then, of course, you have positive plays on first and second down. That'll set you up for better success on third down.
So what's your assessment just with Tevin and Lucas kind of coming in and out?
I mean, I couldn't look at them like individually, but I don't know. So I have no idea, to be honest with you.
Justin, Braxton Jones didn't win every rep, as you warned us. But how do you think he handled his first NFL game, especially with giving up a sack and coming back on? Do you think he?
Yeah, I mean, just like we talked about earlier in the week, we knew, he's not gonna, be perfect against, one of the best DNs in the league. But as long as you just move on from that play, and you just move to the next one, we'll be good. Everybody, gets got on one play. It's really just on how you respond. So yeah.
Justin, you guys were able to find success with those improv plays. How much of that success comes from the preparation, just working on the scramble drills, and how much of that is just your ability to freestyle?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. So just scramble drill rules, just knowing what the receivers are going to do, just kind of them filling out the spacing, and really just, trying to extend the play as long as I can, to where either I can, throw it to one of them, or maybe run for a few yards, or even throw it away. So, yeah, I think they did a great job with that today, though.
Put in perspective what your defense did today and keeping you guys right there for as long as they did.
Yeah, I mean, they did awesome. First half, only giving up, 7 or 10 points? 7 points with the field position they were getting every time. I mean, they did a great job. Bojack came up with the clutch pick, and then one fumble at the first drive of the game, first or second drive of the game. I mean, that was awesome. So the defense did a great job today. Appreciate y'all.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I could listen to that guy speak about football for quite some time, and I think somebody said it in the chat room. It's his recall is very impressive about specific plays and who was running what and what his his primary read was and what his last read was. Initial takeaways from Justin Fields' press conference. Danny, I'll start with you, and then Gaines, you jump in right after.
Yeah, a couple of things. Again, impressive, like you said, in terms of just breaking down the play, remembering what happened, and then kind of pointing out his mistakes. Right, we talked about that robber position that safety was playing, how he kind of baited Fields into the interception there, and he said they're a read and react kind of defense where they read his eyes and then they jumped up routes, and that's what the safety did, and now he knows. And then the fact on a touchdown where a reporter has said, why don't you go to Byron Pringle, who was coming across the formation wide open. He said, that's my third read. So I saw my second read, which was EQ. And I said, he felt good about that. And he just kind of progressed there and just threw the ball, perfect ball placement and a touchdown to EQ. So, guys, I'm a huge Justin Fields fan. John, you were with me the night of the draft. When they drafted him, this is the guy I wanted. I said, Chicago, get your quarterback. I'm a full believer in this kid, that his leadership, his ability to be, that quarterback the Bears have been looking for centuries now. I think is the guy, and I have total confidence in this kid. Just give him some time as he develops in this offense in this system, and you build the complementary weapons around him. I think the sky's the limit for this kid. And like I said, I'm a huge believer, big fan of Justin Fields, and I think this kid is going to be the real deal.
Jump in there, Gaines.
I'm gonna try to, man. Holding my breath. Sometimes I think I'm gonna give myself a heart attack because, bro, I'm just gonna repeat what Danny just said. It's really awesome and calming to see, John. How much this young man wanted to do good for his team. He's an exceptional talent, and today just now he just showed his intelligence and his football IQ. This young man right here. I never want to hear the sentence, he can't read defenses. That's what the quote unquote thing was last year. He's not ready to read defenses. He sounded like he knew what he was talking about, especially because he broke down his own mistake. That's what was key to me. Falling on the sword, on the small things, not just living into the hype. Danny, I'm so hyped for Justin Fields right now, but I got all my receipts, guys. Y'all just watch my Twitter account. Every fucking, excuse my language, every negative, all this, the negative, uncalled for criticism of Justin Fields over the last 6 months. I got all the screenshots. I'll be sending those out with a hashtag, I told you so. All right. Because and real quick, because the young man just needed a chance. The young man just needed a chance, and he's needed time. And it was freaking incredible what we just heard from our head coach and Justin Fields, because they are aligned. I see no ego with this team. Everybody's selfless. Everybody's for the next man. And this dude is willing to take his bodies on take the game to his own hands to get it done. Bro, John, we're gonna beat the Packers next week, bro. Let's get.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay, when we get there.
We'll get there. Before we jump into next week, I believe we had a question from the chat room talking about letter grades for Justin Fields. I'll start and then pass it around. I'm going to give him a B because I don't think you can go any lower from that for somebody that wins the ball game. But I like the fact that they were able to adjust at the second half, figure out what was going to work against this defense, and Justin Fields was able to do what he does. He was able to move the pocket. He was able to scan the entire field, and he was able to find open receivers, and he was able to throw 2 touchdown passes. Did he struggle in the first half? Yeah, but he was able to recompose himself, so to speak, and lead this team to a victory. So I'll give him a very solid B, if not a B+. Danny, we'll go to you and then Gaines.
Yeah, I mean, I was going with a B, and then I'm thinking maybe a B- because, like I said earlier, just because of the fact there were a couple of times he looked like he could pull the trigger on a throw, but just was a little bit hesitant. Maybe it was just the weather conditions. Maybe a receiver slipped out of his break. I'm not sure. Haven't watched the all-22 yet, but there are a couple of times, and one of them, like I said, led to a sack. So there are some times where a little indecisive. Obviously, the interception, but again, he just recalled it right now. He knew what he did wrong, and I do not expect him to kind of fall prey to that interception again. He learns from his mistakes. That's what I love about this kid. So just going to be a little more conservative. I'll give him a B-, but definitely the Bears would not have won this game without Justin Fields at quarterback. The way he was able to improvise and adjust and make plays in the second half. Remember, guys, he used his legs too to create a lot of first downs, and also drew two, at least that I remember, 15-yard penalties when he got late hit. And for some reason, these defenders do not pull up on Justin Fields. He'd see him slide, and they still want to try to drive him into the ground. So he drew 2 penalties there on those defenders there as well. So I'll be conservative, and I love the kid. I'll just give him a B- for this first game.
All right, gentlemen. And so first I was gonna go B-, B+, but like, what did Justin Fields do today? What did you need your quarterback to do? First of all, don't lose us the game. Don't lose us the game. Try not to turn over the ball. He made one mistake. He came back for it. Justin Fields gets a freaking A- for me today. The reason why he gets an A, because not only did he show up, ladies and gentlemen, this was the team that passed him in the draft. This had multiple meanings. He showed up in bad conditions, willed us to victory. He led his troops, and he outshowed the number 1 overall pick. That is a big freaking deal when you talk about the stage that was set. John, we were 7-point underdogs at home. The disrespect was clear. This is just like Thursday night, how the Buffalo Bills just whooped the Super Bowl champs. They were supposed to come in here and whoop us up. It's Muhammad Ali. This is supposed to be the night that the legend was ended when Joe Frazier. So the fact that Foreman didn't get us, that the Super Bowl champ that we held our own, you gotta give my man A for how he handled the situation. I'm not talking about a B for his completion in the yards, but for what he did when he did it in Chicago, bro. In Chicago, in front of the fans, in the rain, on our crappy ass turf. Our turf that's getting upgraded. Like, that's a big. The sentimental effect of that is a freaking A. You got your brand new head coach, a win at home against an NFC opponent. That's a very big deal.
Yeah, the one A I will give out is to the fans, man. Soldier Field was rocking today.
Real.
And it has been this loud, this ruckus for a while, in my opinion. So, I mean, heads up to the fans. A, for all the guys out there and women out there that made the effort. Man, they were, and the defense was thriving off of that. You saw the energy defensive players got. They were getting the fans into it, and the fans were loud. And it's been a while since I heard Soldier Field this ruckus.
Couple more things. Gaines, you brought up the turf and that brand new Bermuda grass they laid out not too long ago. Certainly got tested out today. I guess if you're going to put down Bermuda grass, you might as well pretend like you're in the Bermuda Triangle with the amount of monsoon, as you see Justin Fields sliding in celebration there beside me if you're watching the video version of this show. So one thing, can we blame the turf for the 2 missed extra points by Cairo Santos? Are we going to chalk it up to the conditions and the turf and just be like, okay, not really worried about it next, and we'll see what happens next week? Or is this cause for pause? Any opinions on a kicker that you just recently extended, missing 2 extra points in a game where it could have played an impact? It ultimately didn't, but it could have.
For me, it's a concern initially, but I'll give him a pause because of the fact of the field conditions. Not so much the turf, because I didn't see him slipping. I just see him shanking, and I thought that maybe because of the rain. The other thing is he's dealing with a new holder, guys. So I remember his holder, Cameron O'Connell, the O'Donnell, I'm sorry, the punter is now with the Packers. So, Trenton Gill, the rookie, is the holder. So, not to give him an excuse, he's been holding firm since training camp. So that shouldn't really be a big problem. But I'm just going to chalk it up to the weather. Now, if this continues, then we have a problem. And we do not want any more kicking problems here in Chicago. We've had enough of those for the past couple of years. So I'll just chalk it up to the bad weather for me.
I was kind of go the same way. The one thing I was not worried about coming into this game was Santos missing a field goal. That was the one thing I was not worried about. It happened. Okay, the weather, because we won the game. We won the game. Santos, he's been super clutch. I know that ball probably feels super stupid heavy under those type of conditions. Who knows the effects that it has? Thank God that we played in all 3 phases of the game.
And the fact that we didn't need that field goal that he was going to attempt before they brought a towel out on the field and got penalized for unsportsmanlike conduct. Danny, okay, let's be real. Let's be honest. Did any of you guys know that rule before it was called?
I tweeted out, I'm like, I've never seen that rule ever enforced or ever. I mean, I've seen like punters bring out towels and then like just throw the towel on the side and punt the football. but I've never seen them actually clean the spot on the field.
Is it the snowplow rule from the old the New England game where they brought the snowplow out to kick the field goal off of it? After that, they're like, okay, you can't do that stuff anymore. So anytime you come out and clear the surface with some kind of inanimate object, that you're just going to get flagged.
But this also was the first time I've seen they squeegee the field with all that water coming up, and a grass field too. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot of rain there. But yeah, I'd never seen that before. That was unfortunate because obviously that got them out of field goal range and then ended up punting. So I was hoping that it would not cost them the game, and luckily it did not.
All right, let's start giving out some game balls here. If you had to pick out your MVP for the Bears throughout this game, I'm going to keep bloviating here for a couple seconds while you guys think about it. But if you had to pick one player that you're going to give the game ball to, you're going to give the MVP to of this game, because it was basically a full team win when you look over it. There wasn't somebody that's just like, oh, we put the whole team on your back and go. I mean, Justin Fields would be the closest to that. But if you had to pick a game ball of who you're giving it out to. Gaines, I'll start with you. Who you got?
Man, that's tough, man. Just one. I got one offense and defense. One. Yeah. If one, I'm gonna give it to Braxton Jones. He got off to a shaky start, but like that's a tall that could decide the whole game. If the quarterback isn't competent, if the best defender on that team is Bosa, that's the best defender on the team. So for him not be neutralized, but to be slowed down enough for Justin to do a little bit, he really just showed up. That he wasn't. I didn't expect him to win the starting job before training camp, before I started to see what was going on, and that was just really, really cool to see. I can say a couple other guys' names, but I'm truly impressed with how that young man he started throwing his hands. He was real conservative before, wouldn't use his hands a lot, and I was just really impressed. I'm giving it to Braxton Jones.
Danny, who you got?
Yeah, the easy one is Justin Fields, but I'm gonna go off of that. And I just saw someone in the chat throw it up there, and I'm gonna go give it to Matt Eberflus. Rookie coach. His team showed composure. Well-coached team. They're being absolutely dominated. By the defense, by the front seven of the 49ers in that first half. Kept their composure and came back and had the fortitude, the will to go ahead and fight and win this game. And I just give it to Matt Eberflus. Again, we've seen something throughout the preseason. In his first game here is this team is well coached, guys. They might not have the best talent in the world. They might not be a playoff contender the first season here, but they're going to be well coached and they're not going to lose football games. And we've seen that the last couple seasons here in Chicago. So my game ball goes to Matt Eberflus.
Man, I feel bad that none of us actually straight up gave it to Justin Fields, because I was taking the opposite effect, because I'm like, somebody's going to say Fields, because the guy that really shined for me was Dominique Robinson. 7 tackles, a sack and a half, and just made his presence known throughout the entire game. I was psyched to see how effective he was and how aggressive and how quick he was off the ball. So Dominique Robinson, I'm excited to see where he goes. I'm excited to see how his ascension goes in this defense. So that once again, I always pay a lot of attention to the defense whenever I'm watching the Bears game. So that just is where my mind. But but I think that when we give game balls, it's like, okay, the quarterback makes sense. So outside of Justin Fields, who we're going to give it to. So right. 3 guys that really did contribute to this win, much like you said, Danny. Matt Eberflus had his hand on this game big time, because they were able to adjust when they needed to adjust. One more thing before we start wrapping things up here. They got Green Bay next week, and so that's a big game not just because it's Green Bay, but because all of a sudden the quote worst team in the league could potentially go 2-0, beating 2 teams that have Super Bowl aspirations. Talking about the 49ers and the Packers. As we're recording this, the Packers are down 7-0 to the Minnesota Vikings. But if they're able to beat Green Bay, which once again, let's not get ahead of ourselves, but they beat the 49ers. Who's to say they can't beat the Green Bay Packers next week? I'll go around the horn here. Your thoughts on what they need to do to beat the Packers and what that does if they do. Danny, I'll start with you.
Come on, man.
If they beat the Packers next week, I'm just going to sit back here for the first half hour and just let Tyler go off, because he's going to dominate the airwaves.
I wanted to get you out of the way first, and then we go clean up with Gaines on that.
So, but I mean, for me, in order to beat the Packers, it's going to be a tall task. It's at Lambeau Field, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, it's Sunday Night Football. It's going to be something where the defense is going to have to play, almost a perfect game as well. Now, the one thing with the Packers is offensively, we saw, at least today's game, Christian Watson dropped a wide open touchdown from Aaron Rodgers. So that's something that's going to be something that they're going to haunt them for a couple of weeks there. We'll see if Alan Lazard comes back next week. He's going to be his primary target. But, we're facing a different animal here, right? With Aaron Rodgers as opposed to Trey Lance. So that's going to be a big challenge for the defense. So I know I don't expect them to be, as good as they were today, but that means the offense is going to have to step up. Offensively, we're going to have to put up more points. Most likely, you're going to have those receivers get involved in the passing game. And again, continue the pounding the football with the running attack and prove that a defense can stop you from gaining, big chunks of yards, rushing the football, and then allow that to open up your passing game. So, but if they go 2-0, now we're talking about a young team that's got confidence, beating two of the top favorites in the NFC. Now you're talking about momentum being sky high or confidence being sky high, and then momentum kind of now rolling. And now you can see some wins kind of piling up there. And now you're talking about a whole different animal.
All right, Gaines. We'll pop the cork. What do you got?
No, it's cool. When Danny talks, Danny is so smooth, it calms me down. And so it's like a tranquilizer. I'm like, yeah, that was cool, Danny. That was
I
cool.
think that's a compliment.
I think that's a compliment. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it is. I'm like, it's very peaceful. And like Danny's like spits fire and nuggets. I'm like, damn, he's making a good point. I'm like, all right, cool. I don't gotta yell. But I will say this. The question was, what do they need to do to beat the Packers next week? Honestly, take what's given, but don't let and go in there with run your game plan. Run your game plan. This is a brand new team. Aaron Rodgers, now he owns this, right? All that stuff needs to start coming back. Coming back. It's only a couple players here from last year, but this isn't the same Bears. Okay. The one annoying thing that's about to happen this week, all the quote unquote experts are going to talk about the Bears, but none of them are going to say what they said about the Bears the last 4 weeks. Okay. That's what's about to happen. And so our coach, like I love Danny for giving the game ball to our coach, because I truly believe that's where our strength is at. Our strength is in our leadership. I'm not sure if the Washington Redskins or the Commanders won today, but that's what happens when you have good leadership. When you have a Jack Del Rio and a Ron Rivera, when you have good coaches coming together, bro, you're going to see a good product. And so next week, run the football. They're going to adjust. They watch this film. Darren Moody's going to break open. I feel like we haven't even seen anything yet, guys. I feel like it's still super early. Darren Mooney said all preseason long, they only ran 3 to 4 plays offensively all offseason. And so I feel like it's just the beginning.
Yeah, and I think that moving into next week, and I'll be short and sweet about this, is there are some teams that you can't afford to have a real bad first half against. The Bears were able to escape that today because they were only down 7-0 or 10. I forget 7-0 at halftime. 7-0 at halftime, which is it's not insurmountable. You can come back and win a game like that. Against some of these Aaron Rodgers teams, you can't really afford to dig yourself into that hole. Although we don't know exactly the firepower of this Green Bay team. I think they just got stuffed on 4th and goal against the Vikings, and the Vikings are taking over. So we're not really sure exactly if these Packers teams are the same Packers teams as years past. But I just think in a recent history of Bears and Packers, you got to put a complete game together. And but I feel a lot better about this team because they are much more disciplined. I feel like they're not going to make all the stupid mistakes where it's just like, not only do they not stack up talent wise, but they're also undisciplined, and they're going to make stupid penalties, and they're going to have a delay a game coming out of a timeout, or they're going to do all this other crazy crap that we're used to seeing in the last couple years. So I'm confident that at least they can be competitive in that game, and they can open up some opportunities to potentially win. I think that's the big difference between this team and some teams we've seen in years past. So as we kind of wind this game down, as we're coming off of this is a victory off of week 1. You can't be much happier than we are right now. Let's go around the horn one final time. Let's talk about what we're working on and some of the things that are going on. Gaines, we'll start with you, then we'll hit Danny, and I'll take us home.
So I'm just going to start it off by saying, first of all, I truly am excited. I believe in this team. I took the over on the Bears. I think I was getting 6 wins. Everybody picked the Bears to win only 6 games. I definitely took that over, and I've also taken the Bears to win an NFC North championship. Okay, that's my belief level because I truly feel like Devontae Adams not being in Green Bay is a bigger deal than most people are letting on. And so that's where I'm at with it. I truly believe in what our coaching staff has brought to this team. We have a bunch of players that are hungry. And when you have a Roquan Smith about to pull a Lamar Jackson and just put it all on the field, play sideline to sideline. Robert Quinn didn't make a lot of noise this game, but he was like coming. And so like when you were hitting it from all different levels, bro, it's about to get real freaking exciting. And I'm jacked. I'm so jacked. And yeah, John, I see us being able to beat Green Bay next week just because I do want them to, but not just out of fanship. But like the Packers having a lot of struggles going to wide receivers. I know we're wrapping up, but I want to finish up with that thought real quick. Is it you muted, bro?
I was gonna say I was just watching the Vikings put another big play up on the Packers.
Yeah,
defense
it's not looking good.
I got.
And so, bro, it's a lot. The Packers have issues on the line. Aaron Rodgers actually came at his wide receivers live, like during press conferences during the offseason. So as much trash as the Bears have gotten for having the worst wide receiving core in the NFL, the cool thing about this is what I'm going to say. Aaron Rodgers is expected to have excellence at the wide receiver position. He expects excellence. The Bears, Justin Fields knows what he has, and they're all growing together. And so therefore, I feel like the Bears are in a better position. We know where we're at. And so I feel like everybody's growing off of each other. We're together in this.
Yeah.
And so for me, bro, I feel like get ready for a cool ass ride. I'm gonna part of my language real quick. We're gonna win the NFC title. And again, NFC title, I'm gonna say that right now real quick. But outside of that, I'm happy to be back with the boys. It's been truly, truly dope. I was telling Danny and Aldo what I got going on. I got engaged during the off season to my better for beautiful other half, Jessica, and life has been crazy, but life is amazing. Became a detective in the Baltimore area, and I'm doing some personal training out here. And we're giving people the good life and everything. We Mombasa Relief just got back from Mombasa. We sent over 70 computers to the children of Mombasa, and we finished all 4 classrooms being rebuilt. 20 different female ladies got sponsorships for high school and college, and we're heading back to Africa this coming up March. And so truly some exciting things happening with it. Definitely appreciate Aldo and the network for all the support that we're doing. And it's happy to have Danny, the DraftKings expert, with us here this season. It's going to be a lot of fun going forward. And yeah, that's it. We'll see y'all next week.
Go ahead, Danny. I always feel bad for the people following Tyler because he's out there saving the world and making us a better place.
I'm not doing anything. I'm just in here.
Danny, tell us all that film you're working on. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I actually am. I've started my draft prep for obviously college football season has started, and started my draft prep for our this season's draft on tap. Obviously looking at the positions of need. Obviously today's week 1 of the NFL season, but I'm kind of looking ahead to next off season already in the draft and all that stuff. So draft on tap will be back at a date to be announced here on the Barroom Network. So I'm excited and can't wait for that. And then just I'll be working with you guys. Like I said, excited and happy to be on the show here and talk Bear football right after the game. And in terms of the game today, like I said, I tweeted out earlier, wins and losses for this season, for me at least, they're kind of second hand. I mean, my main thing is Justin Fields, how he develops. If I see growth in this kid and I see this kid taking command and leadership of this football team, and then I see some of these young guys, we talked about Dominic Robinson, the 5th round kid, pick making a sack and a half today. He looked pretty damn good. Braxton Jones got off to a rough start. Another, a late round pick, could be your future, starting left tackle. He's just starting left tackle right as we speak. So, I'm looking to see these kids make plays. Kyler Gordon, Brisker, the safety. I want to see these guys get developed. I want to see that core be developed here by Ryan Poles and obviously Matt Eberflus. So far off to a great start. In my eyes, in terms of the way he's coaching this team. Got his team prepared, well prepared for week in and week out. So I think the Bears are going to be a competitive team all year long. I don't expect them to get blown out. I think they'll be in these games, and whether they win all of them, that's we'll see how that happens, what happens there. But I'm expecting a very exciting season. And again, Justin Fields is my main focus. So there may be some shows we kind of pop in here, me and Aldo, with breaking down some tape on some of these younger players. That's going to be announced later on here on a Barroom Network as well. So got a lot of things going on, but yeah, I mean, just good way to start off the season with a victory over a team that's then a lot of these so-called quote unquote experts say is a Super Bowl favorite. So.
Absolutely. And I'll just say this. I can't really be described as a homer because I'm very hard on the Chicago Bears sometimes because I want them to win. I want them to win more than anything. So whenever they're playing poorly or there's something wrong, I'm going to talk about it and I'm going to be real about it. But when I see the national media going way over on the other side where it's just like the Bears are obviously going to be the worst team in the league. They have done nothing for Justin Fields. Justin Fields should demand a trade and all this other BS that's been going on around this team. I'm going to get a little defensive about it then because let's be real about it. This team is not the worst team in the league. And you know what? This win today probably isn't going to even move the needle for a lot of those people because they're going to be saying, well, it's a torrential downpour and it's Trey Lance's first real start and yada, 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 yada. I still expect the Bears to pick in the top 3 of the draft. Whatever. Let them talk because that's how they're engaging us. And when we engage them, that's exactly what they want. So it's kind of a double-headed beast there. But I will say this. The best part about this team is there's a lot to figure out, and we are going to figure out throughout the course of this season. I think a lot of people are confusing unproven with bad. Just because we have a big group of players that are unproven doesn't mean they have a big group of players that are bad. These are players with the opportunity to make something of this year, make something of their career. And then at the end of the season, Ryan Poles is going to say, is this a guy that we're going to keep around and we can build around, or do we got to address this in free agency and the draft? So I think this year in comparison to maybe last year and the year before there's hope. Because we can actually look at some of these things. We knew what the Bears were basically going to be last year. I didn't have a whole lot of hope that was going to be a Super Bowl contender, and they were the oldest team in the league. So what exactly were we looking forward to with that? An aging team with a bad cap situation, and they weren't really a Super Bowl contender. So I think this year brings us a lot of hope. It gives us a lot to watch, and I think this season is going to be a lot of fun to watch. There will be bumps in the road. They're not going to go 17-0, but it's going to be a
possible.
Really here we go. I knew it. I knew as soon as I said that. As soon as I said that, there was going to be something chirping in my ear. They could run the table. I hope they do. I'm just trying to be real about it. So I think this is going to be a really fun season to watch. And as far as everything, the Barroom's got you covered. I think there's basically new Bears content every single day between the Bear Debate. You can catch me on Wednesdays on Buffone 55. We'll have somebody who covers the Packers on Wednesday to kind of break down what's going on in Green Bay. They're currently down 10-0 as we're recording this. So I'm not sure if you're listening to the podcast version of this, they may have won, they may have lost. So we're going to figure out what's actually going on in Green Bay and how the Bears can take advantage of some of these weaknesses that the Packers have in 2022. So make sure you tune into that. And you know what? Just set up an alert for everything with the Barroom Network, because if you like fresh Bears content basically every single day, this is the network that's going to get you there. You're going to have something that's updating you with the latest that's going on with your favorite team every single day. And it's because we have an incredible lineup of hosts and content creators and people behind the scenes, starting with Aldo Gandia, who's been behind the scenes the entire time for this show. He's the one pulling the levers, making sure all of this stays on and stays somewhat efficient as we move through here. So thank you to him. We're going to wrap this up, but awesome first week of Bear
Just
football.
one nugget I want to
Go
throw
ahead.
for next week, guys. Just think about it. This is going to be Luke Getsy's first opportunity to call offense versus the Packers
Right.
defense. He came from that system last year. I'm curious to see how does he attack them.
Getsy revenge game. Let's start
There
building
we
it up. I'm all
And then,
about it.
and then one more thing, since Danny, I wasn't gonna say that, but Danny said something. One more thing, Mr. Biscuit got his first win as a Steeler.
He did. He did.
That's the last time we're gonna bring that up, because I don't give a crap about who played for the Bears 2 years ago.
Mr.
So
Biscuit,
that's great. Yeah, he was like 17 of like 38 or something of that nature. They had 5 takeaways and they barely won.
Wrap up the show. That's
Yeah,
it. That's it.
we wouldn't want to speak
He
any
didn't throw for
context.
200 yards.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to have any context to that or anything. Let's just throw up some random thing. Yeah.
Great show.
Yeah, good. All right, well, let's cut it off there. That's a great time to end it, because I don't want to take that any further. So make sure you tune into us next week, but make sure you hit the like and subscribe button on all of those Barroom Network shows. For Danny Shimon and Tyler Gaines Ellis, I'm John Buffone. We'll see you next time.
Bye.